Hello guys, it's Happy Monday. We are going to be simplifying rational expressions. Now, you're going to have to factor in almost every single one of these. Now, we did factoring the end of last semester. We did it again at the beginning of this semester, so you should know how to do it. If you don't, you need to go back and look at your notes so you can understand how to do it, okay? And this is why I kept telling you it is very important that you know how to factor, because it's going to keep coming up randomly at times and you just have to know how to do it. So it's back. I guarantee you factoring, you're going to have to do it all the time. It's always going to be in math. The least time you expect it, you're probably going to have to factor something, okay? So we're going to start with this problem here. So what you're going to do is you are going to factor the numerator and the denominator. Now, sometimes you won't have to do one of them. In this case, we don't have to factor the denominator, but we have to factor the numerator. So when we factor it, we get x plus 4 times x minus 3 over x plus 4. Now, what do we notice? We notice that there's an x plus 4 on the top and an x plus 4 on the bottom. In order for you to cancel something, it has to be the exact same. Okay, if it was an x minus 4 on the bottom, we couldn't cancel them. Okay, it's got to be the whole thing. So we're going to cancel the x plus 4s, and all I'm left with is x minus 3. And that's my answer. Now we're going to go to this one. I can't do anything to the top, but on the bottom I can factor out a 25. Because remember, the first rule of factoring is to take out the GCF. So that's what we're doing. So we get x plus 1. Now, I know some of you are very tempted to cancel those x's. You can't. Because this x is attached to this 1 by addition. So if there's addition or subtraction involved, it's got to be the whole thing. So we can't cancel those x's out. As much as you want to, you can't. But this 25 is connected to this by multiplication. And the 10 and this x are connected by multiplication. So we can reduce them. So I'm going to look at the 10 and the 25, and what goes into both of those? 5. So I'm going to divide each of them by 5. So on the top, I'm going to get a 2, and I don't do anything with the x. And 5 divided by 5 is 5. And I can't do anything with this x plus 1. So there's my answer. 2x over x plus 1. Okay? Now let's do this one over here. Again, first rule in factoring, factor out the GCF. So in this one on the top, 30 and 12, I can take out a 6. And there's an x squared and an x, so I can factor out a x. So now I've got to see what am I left with. So 30x squared divided by 6x is 5x. 12x divided by 6x is 2. And then I've got 36x on the bottom. Now, this x is attached by multiplication, and so is this one up here. So those can cancel. Okay? Notice the difference between the two. Now I've got 6 over 36, which I can simplify, and 6 goes into both of them, so I have a 6 there on the bottom. So I'm left with 5x plus 2 over 6. Because remember, that x canceled with that. Okay? Now let's move over to these right here. Okay, so here on the top, I'm going to factor. Okay, so when I factor this, it's x minus 8 and x minus 2 over. Now, one thing I noticed about this, right off the bat, it looks like it's backwards. We're used to seeing things, x minus the number. This is the number minus the x. So if you ever see anything backwards like that, what you want to do is you want to take out a negative, and then you switch everything in all the signs. So now it's going to be a positive x and a minus 8. Okay? Now, look what happened. I have an x minus 8 on the top and an x minus 8 on the bottom. If it was still 8 minus x, you could not cancel them because they are not the exact same. Okay, so now we can cancel them. And remember, it's got to be the whole thing. So on top, I'm left with an x minus 2 over a negative 1. And you can leave it like that. Okay, so now these, we got to factor both of them. So the top is going to be factored x minus 9 times x plus 2 over x minus 9, x minus 8. Now, do you see any parentheses? Remember, when you're canceling, 1 is in the numerator, 1 is in the denominator. Okay, they're not both in the numerator. So it has to be 1 in top, 1 on the bottom. So I do have an x minus 9 and an x minus 9. So I'm left with x plus 2 over x plus minus 8. Now, some of you are going to want to cancel those x's. You can't. Remember what I said before was if they're attached by addition or subtraction, it's got to be the whole thing. Okay? Same with the 2 over 8. You can't reduce that because those numbers are attached to the other thing by addition or subtraction. So you can't. That's our answer. You can't get any more simplified than that. Let's go down here. So 6x minus 21. So I'm going to factor out a 3. So I am left with... Did I write this one down right? No, I didn't. Hold on. The bottom should be 21x plus 21. Okay, so we are going to take out a 3 on the top. And I am left with 2x minus 7. And on the bottom, I'm going to take out a 21. So I am left with x plus 1. Okay, so these are not the same. We can't do anything with them. So they're going to stay the same. But the 3 and the 21, I can simplify. And I can divide each of them by 3. So I'm left with 2x minus 7 over 7 quantity x plus 1. Now you cannot cancel those 7's out because how is this attached? By subtraction. Remember, you can't. Has to be multiplication. Okay? Now there's one more I want to do. I'll do it over here. So we've got 10x cubed minus 20x squared over x squared minus 11x plus 18. Okay, so we need to factor both of the top and the bottom. Now on the top, a 10 goes into both 10 and 20, so I'm going to take that out. Also, x cubed, x squared. So you want to take out the lowest one that there is, so I'm going to take out an x squared. So I am left with x minus 2 over, because remember you're dividing. And then I factor the bottom, and it is x minus 9 and x minus 2. So now the x minus 2's can cancel, so I'm left with 10x squared over x minus 9. Now again, you can't cancel these x's out because this one down here is attached by subtraction. So in order for you to cancel this, you would have to have an x minus 9 on top. Okay? And that is all. Now remember, if you don't understand something, ask questions. Email me. Come to the Zoom meeting, and if you're in B period, it's on Wednesdays. If you're in H, it's on Thursdays. Okay? Thank you.